How do I master my mindset if it seems to have a will of its own?
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
We've enjoyed for over 30 years, not only coming alongside you to buy, sell, and invest in real estate over 3,117 times, we've come alongside you to have more fun, to build your faith, to build your finances, and even to build your relationships, flourishing even greater in them. So really 30 years of helping you build your home, your business, and your life. You know, it's a super question. How do you reel it in? So in this episode, what we're going to learn is how you can reel in your brain when it may be taking on a life of its own, going in a direction you hadn't planned.
Yeah, going on a direction you don't want. And we're going to just talk about the pause and delete. And when I talk about delete, I also want to mention that, you know, when we were talking earlier about your brain
In the other
will
segment.
filter and distort, it will also delete. And you can delete it manually or it will delete automatically. Like sometimes it will delete information like, I don't remember someone's name. It's not really deleted, it's forgotten. But it will also delete things where there's trauma involved. Like we remember things when there's emotion. That's one of the best ways to remember, right?
Yeah, attach emotion to it.
Right.
Because if you don't have emotion to it, it's like your brain doesn't need to store it. So it can delete it. It's almost like you don't really care about that information.
Exactly.
So
that's why I hardly
disappears.
remember anything. Because I just don't care.
You make yourself sound callous.
I know.
Callous, and you're not.
And so the interesting thing is things like trauma, like childbirth. Women would only have one child if they remembered how painful it was.
Right. So our brain will delete, and it'll also distort the amount of pain. So, I mean, the delete, the distort, and the filter work together, and yet they are different functions.
Yeah, and sometimes the pleasure of holding a baby overrides the pain of getting there.
Right, exactly. And so the other piece we were going to talk about was deleting and pausing.
Yeah, so let me just back up a track for a second.
Okay, go ahead. Back up a track.
So emotion.
A step.
Emotion is back up a step. Emotion can drive things deep into your memory, right into your cells almost, because you can, if you remember the emotion, you get the same sensations in your body, you get the memory comes back up, right?
Yes.
You can live that. I know you can.
I know I can.
You're a pro at it.
Can you? I mean, in the past, I used to do it and not know what was happening and then kind of freak myself out and freak Ken out. Like, have you ever found yourself just like back there? Like somebody says something and it's like it was 30 years ago. You thought, like you have dealt with it, you've forgiven, you've processed, you've moved on, you're good. And yet something happens. A smell is one of those things that will often trigger us. Right? A smell.
And it can be a good emotion as well.
Yeah, I know. But I was thinking about the ones that cause me to cry that are not tears of joy, that are tears of sadness and frustration
I shouldn't
and
laugh
pain
at that,
and
really,
anger.
should I?
No, we really ought not. Anyway, and maybe that's happened for you too. Just know that it is the way our brain is actually wired. We're meant to do that. So now that when it happens, I just ask for 60 seconds, 90 seconds. I'll say to Ken, just pause. It's not that you've really done anything right now. It's just there's something that's just triggered an old emotion that is sitting in my very body that I don't even understand. And I just want to get present to it so that I can thank it and then I can move on.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
What's 5 times 5?
25.
What's 9 times 8?
I don't know.
Really? 72.
Yeah. Okay, I was going to say 72, but I didn't trust
What's
myself.
9 times 9?
81.
Come on, go. Yeah, see, go with what comes.
I know.
Okay?
I did see 72. I did do 81.
So why do you know those things?
Because I memorized them as a kid.
And how did you memorize them?
I had to do them again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Right.
And can you rhyme off the ABCs?
Yeah, I could.
Can you start a little bit? Don't have to do the whole thing.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Okay,
Is that far enough?
So why do you remember that?
repetition.
Right. So here's the issue. Sometimes our brain repeats things that are not to our advantage and is creating a superhighway to that thought. That's why the numbers come quick. 7 times 7, 49. It's just
6 times 6, 36. 5 times 5, 25.
Because it was ingrained in our brain over and over and over again. There was a superhighway created to that answer.
Yes.
Because it's important to us because we did it so often.
Right. And yet, did you notice I hesitated because I don't even know why I hesitated. I knew it was 72. That is the first number that popped into my brain. And then I didn't trust myself. So, that's another interesting thing we want to be aware of is if we're not trusting ourselves, what is that?
I'm not, that's above my pay grades I'm not analyzing you. You can go get help for that, Yetta.
Okay. All right. We won't go down that road. But it's a fascinating question.
It is a fascinating question.
Like, what was that?
And so we can get stuck, like a record we used to, or even a CD player used to get stuck. Now we're on MP3s. We don't get stuck the same. But they used to get stuck. A needle would get stuck in a
groove,
and it would play over and over and over.
Or your mother, what she told you, played over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Or you beat yourself up because you did something you didn't want to do. And now you play that result or the consequence over and over and over again. So you're creating a superhighway to that depressing thought. So how can we stop that is the question. And you can do the Stop It video. What was his name that did that? He was
Bob Newhart.
Bob Newhart.
So if you haven't seen the Stop It video, you will actually want to go watch it because it's rather hysterical. We're not going to give away the punchline right here, right now, because it's fun to explore that and watch it with a friend, someone else that hasn't seen it, because it should make you laugh. It certainly made me laugh.
Yeah.
And I even have trauma attached to the word stop it.
I know.
And it still made me laugh.
Finally, that allowed me to say stop it now because you found it funny. We had to rewrite that programming.
Yep.
And so the beauty here is there's a technique to stop that cycle of that negative talk. And it's called pause, delete, reset. So how would we do that? And you can even say it out loud. You can touch your left thigh with the pause button. Because just think of the big ghetto blasters they used to be called, the big boom
boxes. And if you're younger, you may have never seen a ghetto blaster, but if you go back to probably the 90s.
You have a cassette player. Do you know what a cassette is? It has a pause button and a stop, and you could record. And if you recorded over top of something, you lost what was previously on the tape. And so you can hit pause on that thought, then hit delete and replace it with another thought. That's the reset you need to put. But if you have a physical trigger or a physical anchor, it's called.
Yeah.
So you can and you can be doing it in front of people. They won't even know you're doing it. You just use your index finger. You press the pause on your left leg, press the play of a new thing on your right leg.
Right. And for
it's
me,
amazing.
It is amazing. And what I've been doing is inside of my palm of my hand, right? Just kind of press from the right hand to the left hand for pause and then the other for play. And it actually shifts the loop that I had running. It causes me just to slow down just enough to get control.
Yeah. And you know what the beauty is, Yetta?
What?
We had 5 items to talk to you on this segment, and we got 1. So the beauty is you'll get 4 more on another show.
And so we invite you, if you're thinking this is fascinating stuff, we invite you to check out the 31 Life Step Journey and on our website. And we are grateful to be your partners on the journey, even when we don't get it all out, because it's fun learning together.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.